Hello YouTube, welcome back to another episode of Programming with Python Tutorials for Beginners by me, JazPG, or the Jazz Programmer. So today we're going to be focusing on a bit more complex parts of programming, but I'm sure you should be fine with it. So the first part we're going to be covering is variables. Now these are really key in Python, they do a lot of things. So a variable is where you give a character, it can be a word or a phrase, a sort of value. So that could be a text value, it could be a numerical value of any kind. So it's quite wide and they're frequently used throughout programming. So to assign a variable to a character, so let's say our variable is a. So what you do is you a space equals space, and then you input your value here. So we're going to stick with numerical values for now. So let's say a equals 1. So that means whenever in our programming we use a without quotation marks, without quotation marks like this, because that's text there, that it will mean 1. So you can use this with the print function we learned in our other video. So here we go print, see it goes purple. Now we still do brackets, but as you can see here it says value, which is another word for variable. So we don't use quotation marks because that's speech, and just close the brackets off. So if it's printing what a is, and a is equal to 1, we should just see 1 appear. So if we run the program, just save that, 1, because it's saying okay, print a, it's not a text value, what does a equal? 1. So this also introduced a function from Python, the if statement. Now the if statement is usually used with variables, and it can be used to check things, especially with input, which I'll teach you in the next video probably. So I'll use an if statement here. So you type if, see it goes orange because it's a command or function. If a, now here we use another bit of programming, equals 1. So equals mean if it is equal to. So a is saying that's what it's equal to. However, equals checks whether that is correct. So then we use a colon. Now you'll use these a lot in programming later, and this is and when you do enter now, you'll see it tabs in. So whatever in the tabbed in section, that function will be ran. So let's say, let's get rid of that, print. So now I'm using text value here, a does equal 1. That should probably be equals actually. It doesn't really matter, but for the sake of it, sorry, there. So it's going to check to see if the variable a, which is there, does equal 1, which we know it does. So if we run the program now, saying a does equal to 1. So another function that can be used with this is, well, there are two, is the does not equal. So if a, now instead of doing equals, you do exclamation mark equals 1. That's saying if a is anything except 1, print a does not, my horrible typing, equals 1, not 2, 1. So we know still that this should still be displayed because the a is equal to 1. So if we run the program, There we go. So, however, if we change the a value to 2, it's going to say, it's going to run sequentially and see if a does equal 1. It's like, oh no, it doesn't do that, so we completely skip all that. Go down to the next line, which is here. If a is not equal to 1, well, it's equal to 2. So it will run whatever indented here. So if we run that now, a does not equal 1. There we go. Now what you might want to do is, instead of using loads and loads of if statements, you might want to use an else statement. So else is essentially does not equal. So it's a quicker way of writing it. You don't need this. So if a equals 1, so that if that one occurrence, a equals 1, does not happen or isn't right, it'll do this. So it means you don't have, it saves time on typing, and it's probably a better function to use. So if I do this now, a still does not equal 1, because it's saying, does a equal 1? No. So else, if it does not equal 1, essentially, print a does not equal 1, and then if we change that back, it should be a does equals 1. Yeah, so that about wraps it up for this video. Actually, there was something that somebody talked about. They said to me, so in my last video, you may have noticed that something went, that the command went red when it went wrong. So this, I'll just edit here. So because it does not recognize it, Python is really cool. So you may get annoyed by this, but it's very, very handy. So this red here, so I'll just move this out of the way, tells you that there's something wrong with the program. It can't work. So it's simple fact that it's not the computer's fault, it's generally your fault. The computer can't process it for whatever reason. However, it's really good. You can see here in the second part, it says where it is. So in line 1. So this is fairly easy to see. You have to be blind not to see that. But when you've got lines and lines of program, it's really handy just to know what line it is on, and it also specifies what it is, and it says what's wrong. So name a is not defined, because here it's checking is a equal 1. No. And then other times it might say syntax error. I'm not sure if this will work. Invalid syntax. Now this is because a is not a recognized command. So the other one, it was a recognized command, it was just used in the wrong place because a didn't have a value. However, this, a on its own, is not a command just on its own, it has to have something else with it. And there we go, it works now. So like I said before, that wraps it up for this video. Next time we're going to be teaching you the while loop and doing some input which we can use with our if statements. So thank you for watching, see you next time.